Today's a little different. We're going to work on Brandon's truck. This is a 04 Ford F1 Sissy, and it's going to get the full gamut. It's a 5.4, 3-valve, 4-wheel drive, 6-inch lift. How big are tires?
35, 12, 50.
35, 12, 50 tires, which are kind of rough. So Brandon is going to tear this down, and I say that as I'm underneath the hood because I wasn't doing this, and it's getting all new timing components. It's going to get timing chain, guides, tensioners, phasers, cam followers, lash adjusters, spark plugs. I think it's an oil change. I think that's it under the hood. And then it's going to get upper and lower ball joints, which the uppers are a complete control arm. The ball joints, I can't remember, they might be pressed in. It's getting wheel bearings. He's already looked the brakes, they're good. Oh, and it's going to get 4 new tires, which we already have. So we have the majority of the parts except for the wheel bearings. We don't have that because we didn't know they were bad until we started taking this apart. So that's where we're headed. It's in the beginning of the tear down. I've got the fan clutch off, the water pump pulley. I took the tensioner out. There's an idler here, idler here, idler here. Took the fan shroud out. I put cardboard between the radiator and here so I don't bang with tools and put a hole in it. That'd be costly. Next, we're going to work on the power steering reservoir, power steering pump. This is the worst part of the whole job, in my opinion. Right there, getting them 3 bolts out of that. After we do that, all the coils come out, valve covers come off. He's already taken the ECM off and the ECM bracket. Those have to come out. I'm working on the engine harness that does the whole top of the engine. I want to get that out of the way. And so on is the best way to say it. So I'm gonna get back to work taking this apart. We'll bring it back and we got more to show you. Alright, I got this side apart, and got all the lash adjusters and cam followers in that box. I'm not going to tell you how to do this. I'm just going to tell you what I did. I left the timing all hooked up, and I just took the cams loose and just pulled everything out. And I'm going to put it all back, set the cams back, torque the cams where they need to be. I'll roll the motor over a couple times, check my torque, to stop at different intervals. And then after I do that side complete, I'm going to do the same thing this side, and then I'll take it apart and do the cam, or the timing parts, because it's going to get chains, tensioners, guides, phasers, VCT solenoids, and a new oil pump. So we'll get this side apart now. See what that valve cover looks like. That's just an utter lack of maintenance. A lot of people give the 5.4 a bad name and complain about problems and stuff like that, but man, if you don't change your oil and it looks like this, what do you expect? I mean, this is a VCT solenoid, the variable cam timing solenoid. It is what controls the oil flow to the cam phaser, which, if you don't know, oil pressure comes up through this cap for the cam, and there's a hole in the cam right here that feeds oil through the end of the cap, through the bolt, through the center bolt of the cam phaser, and that advances or retards the timing as a computer wants to. But what controls the flow is this variable cam timing solenoid, and it is a machine fit in the bore of that. So you imagine if you get this gunked up like this engine is, that bore gets gunked up like that, and the likeness it's going to get stuck somewhere is pretty high. I actually had a little bit of a rough time getting some of these lash adjusters out. Of course, they're dirty now from you know, throw them around out here, but you know, the bore of these had some crud in them, so we're going to clean them out, and they get oil fed through here and then pump up through here and lubricate the cam follower like this. You can imagine. Oops, I'm going to lose it, ain't I? Imagine this. Sits like this. Okay? This sits in a solid pocket, gets fed with oil. The valve is over here, and the cam is on top. So every time the cam comes around, it pushes down on the valve, and this takes up some of the lash. It gives it a cushion. Okay? So, and this is a roller here. Well, so these things fail, the roller bearings go bad, and they break. So I didn't know if this motor had been done before, and judging by the condition of anything, it doesn't matter. We just want to do it anyways. But that's what happens with these. So engine oil feeds through the side hole of this, and it gets full, and as it comes around, it kind of pushes on it, makes it a cushion, and that's what takes up the difference in the lash. And then that's, like I said, pushes on the valve and opens the valve. So we're just going to replace all that. As far as we're concerned, it's JUNK. And now I'm going to get onto this side and start taking it apart. These are the latest and greatest of the lash adjusters, and these are the latest and greatest of the cam followers. So I'm going to soak in oil while I tear the rest of it apart, and then we'll put it together. I'll let all these soak. You can see some of these aren't covered, so I'm going to have to put some more in there, but it's I don't know if you can tell the air bubbles getting ready to pop out of here. It's kind of hard to see, but I'll put a little more oil in it. The cam followers have roller bearings in them, so I like to soak them too, so they get some oil on them. You know, better than just assembly lube, and then we'll add assembly lube also. This is a variable cam timing solenoid we just pull out, and you can tell in there, you can see some of the metal in here. The timing chain on this truck is slapping against the timing cover, and I think that's where a lot of this is coming from, which is horrible. I mean, you should never let these things go, because you put all that metal through it, scores everything. But you can see the old style, they use a plastic, which this is actually a two-piece. It's coming apart right now. You see it right there. A lot of times the screens will fail, so it comes apart right there, and it lets crap in there. But a lot of times that screen will get sucked in, and then they've gone to a new style, spring reinforced with, see if that'll focus on there, you see all those little holes. So it's definitely a better setup. So now we're going to set these down in. I got two new ones. They just go right in this bore, and they use a Torx bit to hold them down. It's just a machine fit, that's it. The ones of these I buy come with a new gasket, because these things, it seems like, are always leaking right here. Someone's been in this before, because you can see right here vice grip marks. I believe they've probably changed the phasers, and I'll know once we get a little closer. But you see this here, how this is discolored. I mean, this is just lack of maintenance. That's all that is. The majority of the troubles for this are from lack of maintenance. But you can see I've got all the lash adjusters in, all the cam followers, and I put a little Lubriplate 105 assembly lube down in the cam journals and on top of all of the lash adjuster, or the cam followers, to give it an extra lube, and then I'll set it back on. We're almost ready to put the cam journals back into place, and after they're back in and I change out the two VCT solenoids, we'll go ahead and take the timing cover off. Alright, so there's what I was talking about. You can see that screen's missing. That screen gets sucked in, and it'll get stuck in this bore, of this VCT solenoid, and it'll cause it to stick. You can see right here it's blown out right there too. Let's see what that cut is. So like I said, we use a new version, the updated style, and don't have these problems, but we're getting there. This side's all in. Only thing left to do is I got to torque down the bearing caps on the cam journals, and then this side's complete. We're going to go ahead and do the spark plugs while we're at it. Before I take the valve covers off, I take a blowgun and I blow all the crap off and in this area and get it out of here, because I don't want any of that stuff falling in here. Now what we're going to do with this motor, see, Brandon only drives this truck just about 2 hours a week. That's it. 1 hour to work, 1 hour back, parks the truck, they drive their car. When he gets back, so it's easier on fuel. So this engine is not nearly as critical on how dirty it is inside, because what we're going to do is we're going to put in a little bit of cleaner in the oil. You know, everybody and their brother's got their own version of what they want to use, how to clean it, whether it's sea foam or transmission fluid or whatever. We're going to use something in here and let him drive it, change oil every 500 miles for the next 3,000, 5,000 miles, something like that, and hopefully it cleans it up so he doesn't have any troubles. The big thing's going to be when we take this apart, we're going to find out how much of the case is missing, because you can see right here, maybe, I can put my fingers in here, yeah, I'll go on this side, easier to see. And it was smacking that timing cover when it was running. So it'd be interesting to see how much damage is done to this timing cover. Now these timing covers are specific to F-150s. F-250s are completely different than the F-150s based on, let me think here, I gotta remember, where the idlers go, where the idlers mount maybe? I don't recall now, but I tried to use one from the other, and if I'm not mistaken, I may be thinking incorrectly, but I think they're different. But anyways, so now we're gonna torque this down and get the other side together, and we'll be taking spark plugs out. You can see that right there. I can't get on it. It's part of the tensioner right there. Big piece of plastic laying down in here, laying right on that mount of the VCT. So we've had pretty good success. All the spark plugs came out. We've got new ones here, new Motorcrafts. That's what I like to use. Brandon's over here putting Never-Seez on them, getting ready to go in. So we're very, very fortunate. They all came out, no troubles whatsoever. What I like to do on this is, before we start a project like this, let the engine warm up, and the first thing I'll do is blow the crap out of here, the blowgun, and then take and crack try and get all the spark plugs loose, get at least a quarter of a turn. If I can get more, fantastic. Spray some PV Blaster, any kind of penetrant, or anything that will clean carbon down in the hole, and let it soak while I'm doing all the other work. So now we're going to put the plugs back in. Got the timing cover off. You can see where the chain was smacking the cover here and over here. And someone had been in this before and decided to replace just, part of the valve cover gasket, or the timing cover gasket. This is the valley. This is this side, and this, I think, was this side. what possesses people to do that's beyond me, but we're going to take these and soak them in the parts washer, this and the valve covers, and get them all cleaned up before we put it back together. All the spark plugs are in. Now we got the timing cover off, and lo and behold, just like we expected, broken tensioner, or guides I mean. This guide is completely gone. I have no idea where this guide is. The bolt is still there. I don't know if Joe Schmuckatelli, you know, backyard DIY guy, was putting the cam phaser on, that was broken, said I'll just pull it out instead of doing it correctly. I don't know. This side over here, here's some of the tensioner. Here's some of the broken tensioner. And I guess that's okay. That's alright. But it's been slapping around so long. Look at the back of the tone wheel. I don't want to forget to put that back in. Without this, it ain't going to start. This is what the signature wheel basically, it tells. You see how you got all the evenly spaced teeth and you got one that's open? That's a signature to tell the ECM that it's on number 1. So it knows where number 1 is. Looks like they're got OE Ford part numbers on them. Yeah, this is just a lack of maintenance here. So the next step is I have to go get my the tool that I have to set this timing on 1, and then start taking this apart. I'll get break these loose. These are torque-to-yield bolts. Don't ever reuse them. You know, this one's never been replaced. That looks like OE right there, but this one looks like it's been replaced. That looks like an OE bolt. So maybe they just did this side. And there's some vice grip marks on the back of the cam right in here too that tells me that this is probably the one they replaced. Doesn't matter, we're going to do it all. And then we're going to change out that oil pump. We're going to put in a high pressure, high volume Mellings oil pump in there. So that's next. Alright, that's as far as we're going to go on this one. We'll pick this up in the next video. So, like I always tell you guys, if you like what we're doing, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. If you don't like our video, be sure to leave me a link to one of yours so I can make sure I'm doing it perfectly, just like you do. And leave your comments down below, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.